Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Focus on Gaming podcast, episode number 83. I'm back from the dead. Be back. Got a new hairstyle, I think, since I've last been on. Well, since I've last been on with Tom, anyway. It feels like.
Yeah, well, obviously you're not on video anymore, so yeah, you were previously bald with purple skin, weren't you?
Oh god, I forgot.
Yeah, and now you've got like green hair, so yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair, well, you are a zombie technically, so
yeah.
Anyway, hello, welcome back.
How are you?
How's everything been in my absence?
We've held the fort.
Yeah.
Well, we had a battle a couple of weeks ago where obviously I sold the Mega Drive a lot better than Tom. And
I sold the Super Nintendo far better than the Mega Drive.
In a bit, we'll have the one that we did promise everybody, the three-way. So we're going to do that today.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The battle, retro battle, not a three. Yeah.
After the comment before we came on air, Duncan, I feel like you just made it worse.
I shouldn't have put it that way. We are going to have a thing where we are going to sell a console each.
Yeah.
And it's the one that we said a couple of weeks ago, the handhelds. Anyway.
So.
And then I unfortunately died for a couple of weeks.
You did.
That is really unfortunate.
You did. But you got better, so that's all that matters.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm looking forward to fight my case.
Yeah, I think Tom's got the easy one again.
I'm happy to swap.
One of these days, we'll have to give him the PC Engine versus a modern PC or something like that.
Listen, I will happily swap with any of you.
Atari Jaguar versus...
Yeah, he's got the Atari Jaguar versus a 5090 with a X3D AMD chip.
I think Tom will probably be able to give a good argument to the Jaguar.
I think I'll give it a go.
He'd happily give it a go. Anyway, but first things first.
What have you been playing?
Me and Martin have been playing Avowed, haven't we? Because it's come out finally. Yeah. And I think both of us, we're not going to read a review. We're going to do first hands-on because neither of us have particularly played it that much. I think I've managed about 3 hours.
I've managed about half an hour.
Oh, even more.
Yeah.
Have you got to Paradise?
No.
No.
I've just gone the bit where you wash up on the shore and someone's attacked your boat and you've got to go. Well, I'm assuming.
So you've literally done the intro kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you've got an idea of the graphics
for about half an hour. So before I went to bed, I just wanted to have a quick look. So.
Okay, So you got an idea of the graphics. Are you suitably impressed?
I'm streaming it. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Did you played Outer Worlds?
No, I haven't played Outer Worlds.
The Outer Worlds was obviously Obsidian as well. It was their version of Fallout in space kind of thing, but it was a lot like this, where I've got a bit further, two slightly open worlds. And it is where you have, it's not as big as expansive as Starfield or Fallout, but it's still open world. And I think the fact that the graphics have been upgraded, I'm really enjoying it so far.
Yeah, my little go on it, I've enjoyed so far. So I definitely will get.
It's a lot more action based than previous. So if you're after a Fallout experience so far, I wouldn't say I'd recommend it as a Fallout experience, but it is, if you like Fallout and if you like Skyrim, you will enjoy it, but don't expect a Skyrim experience, if you know what I mean. Do you remember Immortals of Avium that came out last year?
I do remember it. Yeah.
It was like an action game, used Unreal Engine 5, and so it was very pretty, but completely flopped. And they were selling it for about £5 within 2 months. And then it came onto EA Play, so it's available on Game Pass. So it reminds me a lot of that, but with a bit of Obsidian magic on it. yeah, so. But I'm very early on in the story now, so I can't even comment on whether the story's any good. But yeah, seems okay so far, and it's getting good reviews. So full review next episode, I think. So yeah,
complete it by next episode.
Hopefully not, because it took me that whole 3 hours to explore that fort where you wash up, and then explore the outskirts of what I thought was the city, but wasn't. It was the outskirts of the city, and I hadn't actually reached the city. So, and literally, just as I turned it off earlier, I just got into the city, which a nice big city. Imagine your Skyrim style cities, that kind of size. Yeah, all good. So, three-way.
Well, before we get to the three-way,
okay.
I should probably tell you what I've been doing this week.
Nah.
Rude.
No, go on. Sorry, go on.
So I was asked to go and experience some AR.
Okay, cool.
Now, I've signed an agreement, so I can't specify companies, and that's certainly not recording while we're recording. But I was asked to go and look at these AR glasses and kind of give a gist of what I thought. It's linked to something I do as a side project that I've done for a number of years. And these glasses are something that's coming out later this year. It has an audio-only version that's out on the market at the moment. And it's got an assistant with it. It's got an AI assistant with it currently. But this company is bringing out a display version, a basic display with notifications, navigation, and various other things. And a control device that's going to be released with it. Fascinating, absolutely fascinating to give it a go and try it out. And it really unique. I'm hoping
gaming. Could you like mobile gaming?
No, no, not on this.
Would it be like when you say AR? Does that mean just putting big screen on the wall kind of thing, or
so this one gives you an information overlay in both glasses, both eye panes for the glass, and it shows you basic information like notifications, maps, text messages, things like that. It's quite basic, and you've got an AI within it which you can get it to read your messages, or you can ask it questions.
Can you access the internet on it?
Basic internet. Basic.
So basically, you just ask the AI, could you read me a 3,000-word porn story, please? While you're walking along. Oh, yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
Nice,
and you can listen to music. You can listen to music.
Sister gets stuck in the
water. Oh, God. You'd be like, nah, nah.
Well, if they get the price point right, then I think it will sell really, really well. But they also spoke about some of the things they've got planned, and what they're looking to do in the future. And
are you talking basically like an AR version of Google Glass, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not a Google product.
But
and it looks like normal glasses.
Yeah.
So one of the things they were talking about is, and I can talk about this bit if I don't name the company. So they were saying that because we spoke about this recently, me and Duncan, about reviewing Horizon Worlds, didn't we? And which is dead in the water. Now
unfortunately, the ones here have got my stepson's prescription glasses in, so
Duncan could see less than he does now. So essentially, this organization wants to redo the metaverse they want to map the world. So imagine a 3D version of Google Maps that you could walk the streets. And then,
I mean, sort of like technically you could do that. I think with AI now, I think AI could look at Google Maps and Google Street View and go, yeah, I could create this and fill the gaps.
Essentially that. And what it will be, if you're walking down the street wearing these AR glasses, if someone in AR is using that map or using the VR version of that virtual world, you will see their avatar walking down the same street
Cool.
in the real world. And I was
Let's
like,
attack them.
that's fantastic. So basically, you're making
Is it useful though?
Does it need to be?
No, I'm not saying it's not cool. I mean, if you look at something like Waze, the navigation, you can see other people on the map.
Yeah.
If they allow it.
Yeah.
Does it do anything? No. Is it quite cool to see that there's 1,000 people near you? Yeah. I mean, that's only if you're in like London or something.
I think the uses for it are that where the high streets are dying, they will be able to create virtual stores which are a bit like their websites, but actually you can visit them. But also,
could you pay an avatar to go into a sex shop for you? I don't want to go there. Can you go in there? I want to see what they've got in stock.
Shop. Yeah. And the other
I'm not going in there.
The other thing is they were talking about how it creates a new platform for advertising. So instead of just being stuck to internet advertising, they can provide real world advertising and virtual advertising.
Get people to walk into their shop.
Yes,
screaming monkey boy.
So it's very Blade Runner and Ready Player One, but they said the tech is there. They can do it now, but the cost of the glasses would be horrendous. But they're talking within 3 or 4 years. It's something they can do. But what they've got coming out this year is amazing. It is very Google Glass, but the control mechanism that's coming is a game changer. And I can't say any more than that, but it's a game changer. So,
if you could get, I mean, obviously you already have hand recognition for gaming for the Quest 3 and other, AR and virtual VR headsets. I think hand proper, like low latency hand recognition is the way forward. I think because it makes things easy.
Well, what's this thing that's coming? I've got to be careful.
You want to say something now, don't you?
Yeah,
just don't.
The thing that's coming will change the way that people operate all their devices for a very affordable cost.
I think the thing that was coming was you, by the sounds of it.
You're not far wrong. So, yeah.
Don't try this one. It's a bit sticky. Right. We need, we've been going for a grand total of 30 minutes.
Ooh.
We need to be selling. I need to be selling the Atari Lynx, the obvious king of late 80s, early 90s handhelds.
Yeah.
So, I myself, Duncan, have got the Atari Lynx, which was released in 1989. Mr. Martin has got the Game Gear, which was released in 1990. And then the Game Boy, which was released in 1989, is Mr. Tom. Mr. Tom. Oh, somebody's got a cat that's... Are you strangling the cat there, Martin?
No. That was the Game Gear dying a death.
Yeah, just got to change the batteries over. I've been playing for 15 seconds. Well, I'll start because obviously I'm going to win this.
I think you should all each do an opening statement on this.
Okay, well, there you go. So you both got an 8-bit console, haven't you? I've got a 16-bit console released in 1989. 16-bit, not an 8-bit, 16-bit. Released by Atari, so listen. That's colour. So your Game Boy. I mean, look, you can't play that. You know, it's green and black. Nobody wants to play green and black. And battery life. I mean, let's face it. Battery life on the Game Gear. It's just terrible stuff. And it's got an extra about half an hour on the Lynx, so you haven't got to keep 5 million batteries in your bag. So yeah, what can I say? It's it's more advanced than sort of both of yours, but yeah, better than both of yours by far, and it had enough games to keep you going. It had enough games. It was $179.99 at launch, which is a bit expensive, but it wasn't too bad. You know, it was okay, twice the price of the Game Boy, but it was color, and it was an extra $80 on the Game Gear, but it was color and had better battery life. Yeah, I'm struggling here, guys. I'm struggling. It's. I mean, can we?
Why don't you talk about how many games it has?
Can we just strike the next sentence off the record? It's a piece of crap. Yeah, so that sentence didn't count. All the rest was right. It was expensive, but it was 16-bit. It was colour. It had a better battery life than the Game Gear. It had 73 games for it. Yay, 73. It was backlit, so you could play it in the dark. It was 160 by 102 resolution. I'm just having a look at the... Damn it, Game Gear's got a better resolution. Damn you, Game Gear! See, it'd be quite easy if I was just competing against the Game Boy, but yeah. Yeah, I'm struggling here, guys. Right, okay, Tom, go on. Okay. Sell us a Game Boy.
All right, then. By the way, you did miss a couple of things out before I do move on to the winner. You had the link cable, so you could play with people 2-player, and you could change the way horizontal or otherwise for playing on the Lynx as well. So it did have some really unique features. So
yeah,
you know, I'll give you that. So yeah, and a great sound. So
thank you.
Anyway,
I mean, I have literally just said it was shit. So
yeah, I'm trying to help you out here.
Yeah, I mean, it had 4-channel 8-bit DAC or PSG sound apparently. I don't know.
Yeah. So Game Boy original. I'm not going to talk about the other Game Boys because I don't necessarily think they were as good. But the Game Boy original came out in 1989, and it was an 8-bit dot matrix display based on a Spectrum processor. I think it was a very, very basic 8-bit processor. Came with Tetris packed in, which is obviously probably the most addictive game of all time. So it sold 89 million units worldwide, I think it was.
118.
No, 89 million.
I'll include all variants, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
No.
Let's not get too carried away. And it was the largest selling handheld of all time until the Nintendo DS came out, which sold more. It had literally thousands of games, from Mario to Chase HQ, Castlevania.
It sold enough that they warranted having pirated games as well.
It did, yeah. It also had things like Donkey Kong, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter 2. It managed digitized graphics. Donkey Kong was very similar to the Super Nintendo version, be it green, but it was very similar and a fantastic game. The original Super Mario Land was the most unique Mario game that was ever made, and not made by the actual Mario team who would do it in-house. We had a link cable, so you could play 2-player, and it was simple. You just plugged it in the bottom. Had great sound.
Lynx had Paperboy.
It did have Paperboy.
So did the Game Boy. So.
Yeah, and it had a better version as well, but it
Oh.
wasn't in color. It also
Just give
had
me
great sound.
one thing.
I can't give you anything. It came with batteries. It came with headphones. They were rubbish, but they came with them.
Yes.
What else? The games lasted a long time. It had
Super Mario Land. I mean, good. Shut up. No.
it had Zelda, and most importantly, it had Pokemon.
Oh yes.
So I think hands down, Pokemon just wins it. Tetris wins it. Zelda wins it. Super Mario Land wins it. Metroid Prime wins it. Donkey Kong wins it. Kirby Dreamland wins it. I could go on and on and on, and it just got better in time with the Game Boy Light and other variations. Martin.
Yeah.
It wasn't Metroid Prime though, was it?
It was.
No, Metroid Prime was the 3D one.
It was Metroid. Metroid Prime 2: Return of Samus.
No, take the Prime out. Prime is the 3D one. Pew, 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 pew.
I stand corrected on one very slight thing.
Right, come on. For the colour handhelds, Martin, come on.
So, yeah, the Game Boy. So, Duncan, you mentioned its battery life, but you said that the Lynx has a better battery life, but it doesn't really matter the battery life for the Lynx because no one was playing it. So, and also, if you were sat by a wall, and the Game Gear was,
which most Lynx and Game Gear owners were doing.
Yeah. You were sat by the Game Gear compared to the Game Boy. I mean, if you're colorblind, then maybe you would play the Game Boy, but at least the Game Gear had a color and a lit back screen so you could play it at night. It also had
suck it, Game Boy.
It also had motion blur.
A lot of Sega classic games. I think Streets of Rage was on it. Sonic. All the classics that people enjoy. It was considered the full-color backlit screen, more powerful processor compared to the Game Boy at the time, and a unique game library, offering a visually superior handheld experience with vibrant colors, even though its major downside was a very short battery life. I don't know why. Why did you put that in Google? And large size, ultimately limiting the widespread popularity compared to the Game Boy. But it did have superior graphics, powerful processor, Sega game library. And I'm just looking at
Sonic. I mean, they put Sonic on it, running at full speed.
But you couldn't see it because it was blurred.
Oh, did you own a Game Boy? Did you? Any game that went fast on the Game Boy just was a blurry, pixelated mess.
Super Mario Land wasn't blurry, and when you ran at full speed, it was fine.
I owned a Game Boy. I just don't want you to win. So
I'm just going to quote the Game Gear and advertising. If you were colorblind and had an IQ of less than 12, then you wouldn't mind with a portable. You wouldn't mind which portable you had. I mean, such advertising did draw outrage from Nintendo, sought to have protests organised against Sega for insulting disabled people. But
I am not offended.
Just Game Boy includes side-by-side comparisons against the Game Boy and likened Game Boy players to beasts and uneducated. So
it wasn't beast, wasn't it? It was flipping huge. But then people moaned about.
Well, no, they were saying that Game Boy players were beasts and uneducated compared to Game Boy.
Back in the late 80s and early 90s, it was mostly kids that were playing. So the whole battery life thing was invalid because kids couldn't take their things to school, so they weren't.
I took my Game Boy to school.
You naughty boy!
I know, because it fit in my pocket.
Burn!
Did either of your systems fit in your pocket? Or were you just pleased to see me?
I totally owned a Game Boy, so fuck the Lynx. But at the same time, Game Boy was because you took it and everybody went, "Oh look, it's a Game Boy."
Mm-hmm.
You took a Game Gear in,
And
And
everyone,
granted, you couldn't play it for very long, or you
Mhm.
had to have a lot of spare batteries.
Mhm.
But people went, "Oh wow, cool! Look at that! Oh my
Look.
god, it's the Mega Drive in a handheld."
You're
But
like coming from the future with that Game
Yeah.
Gear compared to
nobody looked at the Game Boy and went, "Oh look, it's a Super Nintendo in a Game Boy."
quickly. We've got to go inside because it's getting dark. We won't be able to see our Game Boy anymore. Or can I use
Oh,
your Game Gear light so you can so I can
yes,
see my
yes.
Game Boy?
I did have one of the
The magnifier.
magnifying lighting add-ons that you had to clip on, and I had a battery add-on as well, which doubled the battery life because you could put 6 batteries in instead of 3. I think was it.
You didn't need it with the Game Boy though. With 4 batteries, it went on for like months.
Nah, not months. Nah.
Yeah.
But you were
Nah.
limited.
It was like it's about 5 seconds longer than the Game Gear.
Mine went on forever. Don't know what you were doing to yours. So now, if you went in, I'll give you this. If you went into school with a Sega Nomad, which was a handheld Mega Drive that could take Mega Drive carts,
Then
yes.
everybody would go like, "What the can you buy that for?"
Or if you went in with a PC Engine GT with Street Fighter 2 on it, which was near enough the best arcade quality version, then yes, people go, wow. When you went in the
GT
with the Game Gear or the Atari Lynx, most people went, why? Because no one wants to play with you.
Can we just establish that I know I'm not going to win with the Atari Lynx? I mean, I'll try because they did have Pit Fighter, Quicks, Rampage, Hard Driving. Here we go, Tom. Batman Returns. California Games, things like that. Gauntlet. So the Lemmings. Lemmings was a fantastic game, but they were all published by either Atari or companies linked with Atari. So
imagine how much better, like all those games you listed, Tom, would have been better on. How much better they would have been on the Game Gear.
Ooh,
True.
good point.
If you had a limited supply of batteries, but you didn't.
Or just live by, or just sat by a plug.
Now, I'm going to give Martin a helping hand here. The Game Gear was far better than the Atari Lynx, particularly for one reason. You could put a TV add-on to the top of it and watch the TV
Was it
live.
Gear TV or Game TV? Oh, I don't know. Sega TV or something.
No, it was Game Gear TV. It was a TV add-on, so it was a bit like a portable TV.
Had a massive aerial on it.
Yep. Yeah, it was really, really good.
How would that be with battery?
Exactly.
That was literally like turn it on and off it went.
It's like, I really want to watch a 10-minute cartoon. Nope. Sorry, we don't allow that.
Yeah. But so I think we can all establish that the Atari Lynx was crap. So
Atari Lynx
now just between me and Martin.
Am I closing the Atari Lynx browser pages?
I think you are. Yeah.
Oh well, bye Turbo Sub and Toki and Scrapyard Dog, whatever the fuck that was. Oh my goodness, the artwork. Sorry. It got good reviews actually. Not bad reviews. Anyway, sorry.
You can still get Atari Lynx games on the Evercade. They've just released a compilation.
It was a 7800 game that came out on the Lynx. Anyway, sorry. I'm going to close that now. I'll close Atari Lynx so it doesn't tempt me to try and compete. Yeah, sorry. I lose. But not to the Game Boy. I lose to the Game Gear. I'm going to be on Game Gear side.
I mean, the Game Gear did sell about just short of 11 million units, but then it didn't have RoboCop, the Ocean Software version. So that alone is going to kill it off,
Well, yeah, but I'll say again, Sonic. They literally, everybody said, oh my God, they're never going to get Sonic on there. And hey presto, that it got on there. And it was just back in the days when that came out, it was just amazing. The fact that this underpowered thing compared to the Mega Drive that didn't have all the blast processing or whatever, all the fancy dancy stuff, could do this really fast game, and it did it okay. Because let's face it, when you're going really fast on Sonic, all you do is hold right. That's unless you're a speedrunner kind of thing, that's all you're doing. So as soon as you start, you're all good.
I'm going to cripple your argument here because so did the Game.com, the Tiger Game.com that had Sonic, and so did the Neo Geo Pocket that had Sonic as well, and they were more underpowered than what the Game Boy was. So actually, it's nothing to brag about.
Aladdin. I'm just looking at a list of games. Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
Really well received version of Aladdin.
It was a very good version.
And if you just to bring back battery life, I mean, the Game Boy had good battery life because it had like the technology of a potato, didn't it? So, the Game Gear was having to power all its like processor and its lights and its sound. So
apart from the fact when all your capacitors failed and your screen died within about a year, but it's all good. But my Game Boy, is still working. And actually, there is a Game Boy in a museum somewhere that was actually blown up in the Iraqi War, in the Gulf War, and it's still working to this day. Most Game Gears have died a death because their capacitors were faulty and shit, and their sounds have all gone off as well.
But it's 1980s tech, so or 1990 early 90s, which
no, Game Boy was 1980s tech. The Sega Game Gear was 1990.
So but capacitors were the size of your living room back then. So all you got to do is rip it off and put one back on. I'm not saying I could do that, but
I was waiting for that.
I haven't soldered anything, I think, since I was at school.
Now he's drunk too much, his hands shake.
So I probably haven't soldered anything in over 30 years. Which I am looking at soldering things soon because I'm trying to get a Xbox controller repaired, and I'm like, I really fancy just getting a soldering iron and go beep 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 and trying to get some Hall effect sensors in there because they're messing up. Anyway, back to
Martin.
So Desert Strike
on the Game Boy.
There was on Game Boy and Game Gear.
Yeah.
Again, so it's a comparable game because obviously one's color and one's not color. So that sucks. I mean 6.6 out of 10 for the Game Boy version, and EGM gave it. Now there isn't actually a version that's. I'm just trying to see if there's a version that's the Game Gear version.
The batteries didn't last long enough for them to
I couldn't review it because the battery just turned off. Game rankings, Genesis, Game Boy. Yeah, so there is a version for the review score for the Game Gear version. Probably just, not.
They were practically identical, but graphically the Game Boy version was much better. So even though
don't believe it. Don't believe it for a moment.
I'm watching a video of it now.
Earthworm Jim. See all these Mega Drive games, that came out on the Mega Drive.
Yeah.
That were on the Game Gear. And like Earthworm Jim, Echo the Dolphin. George Foreman's. Do you remember George Foreman's KO boxing?
Great game on the
That was sort of from waist upwards, wasn't it? Yeah, you got the people.
Great game on Super Nintendo. I enjoyed that game.
Was it? I'm gonna guess it was pretty much on every on every format.
Yeah. George Foreman was
getting been sold on the Game Gear. He's looking at it.
Gunstar Heroes.
The superior race of the Game Gears.
See, Game Gear all the way. Joe Montana Football. Was it the Sports Talk football version? Was it ported? Well, you see, I remember playing on the Steam Deck Joe Montana Sports Talk football, which is I think Joe Montana 2, and I played it and listened to the so-called commentary. It was awful.
It was diabolical, wasn't it?
There's he done first down. Yay! Great. Sacked. Yeah, when you had the only reason that game sold was because it had the sports talk because Madden was far superior. But no, I just still now. Back in the day, I had a Game Boy, but me right now, if I went back,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody who does sit basically in bed playing the handheld, I would want the Game Gear.
Okay.
The 46-year-old me wants the Game Gear because it's colour, it's got a backlight, so I can play it in bed when the wife's asleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's just better.
You could always convert the Game Boy and put a backlight into it. It's quite simple to do.
Yes, there is that. There is that. I did enjoy the Game Boy.
Let's just look at a few games, right? We've got Battletoads, Home Alone, Gauntlet 2. We've got Bart Simpson. We've got loads of Simpsons games. We've got NASCAR.
I had Bart Simpson Escape from
Space
Camp Deadly, I think.
That's the one. Yeah, we've got multiple Mario games. We've got multiple Turtle games, and they were some of the best Turtle games you could get. We've got Mega Man. We've got God, there's so many. We had a personal organizer, lucky us. We had tennis. We had the list just goes on and on and on. Donkey Kong, Tetris, Pokemon, Kirby's Dream Land, Nigel Mansell's F1 Challenge. We had so many games. I mean, we were selling games. Well, when you got a Game Boy, you weren't shaving. By the time they stopped selling games, you had a full beard. So that's how long it went on for. So,
I'm just looking up the Turbo Express as well. I mean, obviously, it didn't even compete with the Lynx, really. But, yeah. $249 at release in 1990.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just relegate that with the Lynx. Basically, a Game Boy and Game Gear smushed together.
It was a great machine for Street Fighter.
Okay.
Street Fighter, and it was probably the best.
Is like a 2.6-inch screen.
It was very hard to
screen.
That's very hard to get your pixel perfect movements on
I mean, in the UK, it got a limited release as
so it's the Turbo Express or the PC Engine GT.
That's it. And it got Championship Edition. It was the first version that allowed you to play the bosses before Sega got it. 6
AA batteries.
It did last a lot longer than most, though, and it had a TV adapter. So
an optional TV tuner. Yes.
So I think I've won this on two fronts: the PC Engine and the Game Boy.
Yeah, but right now, if you're sitting there and your other half is silently snoring next to you, and you want to play a game, you don't want to wake her up.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the dark, you can't turn the light on. Would you want the Matrix display with all add-ons onto it that are hitting you in the face because the stick's so far out? Or do you want plugged in Sonic the Hedgehog, Gunstar Heroes, Jungle Strike, all things like that? Oh, just so good.
I have Jungle Strike already on the Game Boy. However, I own multiple Game Boys originals and colors and other versions. But if I was to choose, it would be a Steam Deck.
That's cheating.
But factual.
See, Martin, come on. So, 30-something-year-old you, what would you pick if your missus was fast asleep, sitting next to you?
Out of what, the Game Boy or the Game Gear?
Game Boy or the Game Gear?
Well, I wouldn't be able to play the Game Boy because it'd be dark.
There you go.
Or I would have to be like a nerd and have one of those magnifying glasses. So I would go with the Game Gear, even
Exactly.
though
We
I
don't
have to
look.
have it plugged in. No,
We don't want to look like a nerd.
exactly. My partner woke up and I was there with a magnifying glass.
I'd
He
say,
wouldn't-
with
He
my
wouldn't be
glasses,
using that on the Game Boy.
I'm getting close to needing a magnifying glass for something. So I don't need. Oh, blimey, yeah. That's another point. Is the Game Gear a larger screen?
Yeah, the Game Gear was massive.
Width-wise, it was, yeah. Ever so slightly.
Ever so slightly larger because, if there's any writing on that screen, not a chance I'm going to be able to see it.
And it needed it because of the motion blur.
Yeah, but equally, motion blur was on the game. But I still remember
No, it wasn't.
If
It
there was a
wasn't.
fast game,
No.
Although I have looked it up, apparently it was a 59 point something frames per second a refresh rate on the Game Boy, which I'm going to take a wild guess is lower on Game Gear, but it didn't feel like it was a 60 FPS on the Game Boy. I'm just going to...
I'll give you one thing with the Game Gear. You did have Mickey Mouse Castle of Illusion and Golf.
Stunning.
But they were shit versions.
Game Gear refresh rate. I'm just
got
trying...
low there, Tom. I having to swear. That's you're struggling with your argument when you got a.
I won my argument 5 minutes ago. There I'm just throwing out insults.
One thing you're going to learn, Martin, is Tom will never admit defeat.
Ever. I'm liable to mail you a Game Boy deliberately.
Yeah. I tell you what, Tom. Yeah, actually, yeah. I won't admit it unless you give me a Game Boy.
I've got plenty of broken ones.
No. It's got to be working. Oh.
No.
God. Plus games. Obviously, I can't play without like a ton of games as well.
No.
I never owned a Game Gear, but I did have a friend who had a Game Gear, so I did play it, and we did have to sit in his living room because that was where the plug was. And it was back in the days when you used to have those AC adapters with the 4 different plugs on it that you could plug in different things. Then you could have the little wheel that you could change the voltage on it. So we had to sit in his living room and play. So we couldn't go and sit in his room because heaven forbid. But it was more impressive. I took my Game Boy round to his, and he was like, "Yeah, excellent, brilliant." And then we were like, "Okay, Game Gear." So I'm still going to go with 46-year-old me wants a Game Gear.
I would say the Atari Lynx first gen was more impressive than the Game Gear.
Hang on, the second, I mean, I say the Atari Lynx and the Atari Lynx 2 were both the same era. It wasn't, one wasn't compatible with the other, was it?
What do you mean?
I mean, it wasn't like Xbox One and Xbox Series.
Oh no, they could play the same games.
Yeah, but it was the same games. You put the same cartridges in the same thing. It was just it was a refresh. It was like a pro version, wasn't it?
Yeah, slightly better screen, more compact, easier to handle, almost fit in your pocket.
Was there any Game Gear refreshes?
Last year or the year before they did the Game Gear Mini, that was all.
There was a Game Gear Mini?
Yeah. Oh. And when I say it was mini, it was minute.
Oh, Game Gear Micro on June the 23rd, 2020.
Celebrate its
part of its 60th anniversary, Sega revealed the Game Gear Micro retro console.
And if you can play that, I'll be impressed.
Powered by 2 AAA. I have never seen that, so I'm going to try and get that up. Game Gear Micro, because that sounds awesome. Much better than a Game Boy, because there was a Game Boy. There's been lots of Game Boy Micros, isn't there, really? Because there was the what was it called? the
Game
really
Boy
cool one.
Light. Yeah, it was loads of them. Game Boy Light, Game Boy
What was
Micro.
the actual really tiny, the really small one that was horizontal?
Oh, the Micro.
It was Micro, Game
Hmm.
Boy Micro. There was a chance I could play that, although it wasn't thummy kind of size. It was teeny tiny. Oh blimey, a Game Gear Micro. If you want one of them, be prepared to pay. The cheapest I'm seeing is about £100.
Yeah, and it really wasn't worth it. Interestingly, in October, Lego is bringing out a Game Boy original that you can build, and I'm going to.
Yeah, but you won't be able to play.
Well, I'm sure someone will mod it, but no, you won't be able to play it.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, stick a Raspberry Pi in it.
yeah, but yeah, I'm definitely going to buy one. They're only going to be £50 as well.
Oh, that's pretty good. Although that'll probably be if you can get a pre-order. Which these things generally, all the collectors grab them all and then sell them for quadruple the price.
Well, I'm definitely going to get one. Apparently, it comes with the original box and all things like that, so it should be interesting.
Yeah, they haven't actually released the actual what it's going to look like yet, have they?
No, I'm hopeful it's going to be
They've
really,
just
really
showed some pictures of pieces.
good.
So yeah, hopefully it'll be good. But that'd be cool if you could have like a Lego actual one that had a Raspberry Pi, or we need to get. Did somebody say retro back on and just say, would you be able to stick a Game Boy in a Lego Game Boy?
Oh, that would be good. Yeah.
So right, well, I think we've established that the Game Gear is better than the Game Boy. So I don't know what the next retro battle should be. So I think people need to advise us on what we should try and sell to each other. And I think next time, I think Tom should have the one that's completely died a death.
Like the Dragon 32 or something.
I did offer to have the Lynx because I wanted the underdog, but it didn't suck. It just wasn't worth it. It was expensive. It was not better than the Game Gear. And the only reason you get it was when they were selling it off because nobody wanted one. That was it. It was like the Neo Geo Pocket, where look, they're selling it off real cheap. Yeah, it's because nobody wants it. Yeah. But I think if you're after one nowadays, in all honesty, you'll be good with either. Game Gear's better. So,
in an alternative universe.
If you were to say one game for each device, Tom, what's the one game that would sell your Game Boy?
Tetris.
Martin, what one game?
Sonic. There you go.
Two massively brilliant games. Two really addictive games. Oh, yeah. See, just those one games would be hard to decide. Although your non-gamers would all pick Tetris. So that would... Damn it, that'd be...
Columns. What about Columns?
Columns.
Yeah.
There you go. Forgot about Columns, yes. Very addictive.
It was a good version, actually. Yeah,
yeah. And you had was it Dr. Mario on Game Boy? Another competition. But anyway, no, you picked one. So Columns and Tetris. Right. I think we've sold enough on that.
I think
those
we've done
things.
very well. Congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations on
guys.
on losing, Tom.
In other news,
I'd probably prefer the Game Boy. Now it's over.
Yeah.
Games,
you know we're still recording, yeah?
In other news, Star Wars Jedi Survivors come out on PlayStation Portal cloud streaming.
Yeah, it's on EA Play now.
It's
on EA Play, so
I'll be playing that in a bit.
I wasn't really. It's like a Metroidvania. The first one didn't really grab me. It wasn't me, but yeah, apparently it's brilliant. People love it. So if you got EA
It's on
Play,
Game Pass, isn't it? Because
yeah, it's on Game Pass. So yeah, get on it.
I'm going to be playing that tonight on the portal, so that'd be good. So
Yes, yeah, if you could do us a quick review next episode.
yeah,
Excellent. Hey. Well, there you go.
Exhausted this episode
I think so because
and each other.
oh, it's a busy week. It's a busy week because it's half term here in the UK and the kids are off school. Oh, so it's busy. Right.
Have kids, they said.
On that note, focusongaming.co.uk. Like, subscribe, review, comment, give us the next retro battle, and yeah,
Till next
we'll
week.
see you next episode.
Ciao.
Bye.
Goodbye.